The Nintendo Switch 2 is getting Resident Evil 9 after all, plus 7 and 8! And just in time for Spooky Month! Oh. So they're not coming out until next February. Well, what's a new NS2 owner supposed to do for Spooky Month of this year?
There was a game that came out in September, that looks scary, and sci-fi too.
Oh, cool. So, aliens?
Well, they're mutant creatures for you to fight.
Nice, nice. So, some mutant monsters on an alien planet?
On a version of Earth that got ravaged by a deadly virus.
Oh. So, an alternate ending to 2020.
Ooh, I wasn't gonna go that far.
Well, let's see how far this game goes. This is Cronos, the New Dawn for the Nintendo Switch 2. In this sci-fi horror game, you play as a protagonist known only as Traveler ND-3576, a soldier woken up from hibernation after Poland has been turned into a wasteland by a mysterious and deadly viral outbreak, one that turns people into monsters nicknamed orphans. So now the Traveler has to survive this post-apocalyptic wasteland to find time rifts to take her to the past and extract the essence of key individuals before they die, then return their essence to the present. It's not clear at first why all this has to be done, but figuring this out along with how the plague started is all part of the game's engrossing story. I got really into figuring out all the twists and turns and shocking revelations as I delved deeper into this plot. It's definitely worthy of a new, dark-toned survival horror game. On the Switch 2, this game looks really good. While it stays at a solid 30 frames per second and outputs 2K docked and 1080p undocked, the lighting, textures, and creature designs do a lot to create a terrifying atmosphere. You're immersed in this world that's been completely taken over by the virus. I mean, look at some of these narrow corridors and gross stuff covering the walls and making their own pillars. This game is begging to have a maze at Halloween Horror Nights. But it's the sound that really drives the terror home. The music gives intensity for the combat with the monsters, but soft suspense when there's no combat happening, especially when you see mutant corpses on the ground and you don't know which ones will rise up and attack you. When there is combat, you've got a mix of strong sound effects from your weapons and creepy roaring and gross squelching from the monsters that want to tear you to pieces. Plus, even though the main character doesn't show much personality at first, the game has good voice acting from her and the supporting cast, which adds to the story's dramatic angle. In many ways, this feels like a Resident Evil game, but with more futuristic sci-fi stuff. You're fighting terrifying monsters who used to be human in a dark place devoid of people. You have limited resources like ammo and health that you have to search for. You're finding text and audio logs that add more details to the overall story. And much of the combat is about keeping your distance even though you have 2 melee attacks. On that basic level, this game's mechanics will feel familiar to longtime Resident Evil fans. But Cronos still does plenty to be its own game worthy of starting its own franchise. A lot of the game is exploring an area to find more resources to help you, even though the game is mostly a linear experience. The linear approach means less backtracking, yet there's enough openness to allow and even encourage you to check out other areas before moving along the path that advances the story. As the story involves time travel, there's an aspect that's actually woven well into the gameplay. Going back to the past is still dangerous, but seeing these areas in 2 time periods helps you remember areas to visit and how to navigate them. Also, sometimes when you encounter your target, you'll be asked to quickly make a crucial choice, with the culmination of these choices steering the direction the story goes in and how it ends. But time manipulation is actually a bigger part of the puzzle solving and, to a certain degree, combat. There is puzzle solving in this game, which again feels very Resident Evil, but it's not nearly the same as an RE or Fatal Frame style puzzle with weird riddles and needlessly elaborate setups by the guys who built the structures. Any puzzle solving here is mostly figuring out how to use these time anomalies to change parts of the world so you can access new areas. In combat, you can also use time manipulation to bring back blown up fuel tanks, then use them to hurt these monsters and bring it back again until the monsters are dead. You want to use any advantage you can find because these monsters are as scary as they are aggressive. This is largely thanks to their designs and the limited resources you have. Even as I found new weapons, of which there are only 4, I never felt overpowered fighting these monsters, but it did feel very accomplished after winning each fight, especially after occasional boss fights. There's a surprisingly good variety of enemies in Cronos that somehow get more disgusting to look at as you progress. They each move and attack differently based on their types, from headless attackers jumping at you and big guys stopping around trying to crush you, to fused wall crawlers moving like lickers and spitters spitting. What makes these guys very unique and frightening in horror game world is that they absorb the corpses of nearby dead creatures to get stronger, giving them more health, a stronger attack, or armor on certain parts of their body, which forces you to aim at any uncovered body parts. so it really helps to burn the bodies of slain enemies. That's why I brought up rebuilding fuel tanks with time manipulation. Fire is your friend here. But torch fuel is scarce, and how much you can carry is very limited. In fact, your slots for resources and items are all limited. So just like old school Resident Evil, managing your inventory of the most helpful items is a crucial part of survival strategy. The resources I keep mentioning are chemicals and mechanical gears found throughout the world. What I like is how these resources can be used to create a variety of items. It's not just one thing for chemicals and one thing for gears. And different amounts are needed for different items. So you may find yourself not having enough for more torch fuel or a bigger health item, but maybe you have enough to make more shotgun shells or a grenade. You can even use available resources to quickly make more ammo during combat just by holding the D-pad button for the corresponding gun. A good place to manage your stuff and buy upgrades to make things like resource management easier are these places that, well, let's just call them what they are. They're save rooms. Along with the manual save computers and storage containers, these rooms have computers for buying the aforementioned upgrades for your suit, your inventory, and your weapons. And because of how tough the monsters can be, these upgrades actually make a big difference, giving you a damn good reason to hunt around for currency and cores, some of which are given to you by cats that survived the plague. Yes, you heard that right, cats actually help you by giving you something when you pet them. If only my cat did that every time I pet him. Come on, Salem, even the black cats are helpful here.
I told you about this game without getting pets.
Yeah, after sending me to an abandoned asylum full of murderous mannequins last year.
I said I was sorry.
What I didn't expect, but probably should've, were the gravity boots. These make for some trippy and creative world traversal that works with bits and pieces of the world floating in the air in the aftermath of everyone turning into monsters. It's just one highlight of Cronos being creative with its sci-fi horror design. Whee! At $60, this is a great horror game for Nintendo's new system. If you're a horror fan looking for a spooky reason to get the NS2, this might be it. Here's hoping it leads to a lot more kick-ass horror games on the new system. And that's my review of Cronos The New Dawn for the Nintendo Switch 2. To help me produce more videos like this, please support my Patreon page. Special thanks to my current patrons here. Remember that supporting my Patreon gets your name in the credits and access to my main videos a day early. Also watch my previous reviews of Hollow for the Switch and Resident Evil Revelations for the Wii U. See you all next time!